A driving distraction is anything in and around the car that takes your eyes.
It's something that will either manually, visually, or mentally distract you.
A driving distraction is anything that takes your focus away.
Well, it's could be a variety of things that take away from your focus on the driving task.
Driving distraction would be anything that diverts your attention.
A driving distraction
from the driving task
that takes your attention off the road.
You might be looking in your neighbor's backyard saying, hey, there's Bill, he's out there with his kids, you know. Because you're familiar, you know people who live in the area or work in the area. You might be checking in on them versus checking in on your driving. Yeah, it's tough, just self-discipline. You just have to stay focused on driving, and social time comes later, not when you're behind the wheel of a car.
Most collisions occur within 5 miles of your home. Because you get on the familiar area, you tend to let your guard down. Chances are nothing, over a great amount of time, nothing's happened. And then it's that one time that something happens that you're not paying attention because you've let your guard down, and it can be disastrous. Once again, my biggest thing is keeping up your scanning to the sides of the road, the front of the car, the rear of the car, scanning your mirrors. Scanning actually does 2 things for you. It keeps you alert, number one, which is kind of what we're talking about, but it tells you of impending collision threats.
So when you're driving on roads that are familiar to you, these are the roads that you drive every day to and from school or work, family or friends' houses, we get too comfortable on these roads. We know every single light and its tendencies. We know exactly where our stop signs are. We know traffic patterns. This is a really big advantage of driving on these roads. However, it can create a really large distraction. We get too comfortable on these roads. We don't expect the unexpected hazards that can arise at any given moment, whether it be a pedestrian or an animal, emergency vehicles. If we're driving these roads at night, more hazards can be present that we're not ready for. So to combat this when we're driving on familiar roads, we need to keep ourselves alert and focused just as though we would when we're on unfamiliar roads. Have an orderly visual search pattern so we're constantly checking around us, checking our mirrors, checking our speed, and try to keep yourself focused on getting there safely.
Yes, familiar roads can be distracting because you just are so used to them, and it can just put you in that kind of lulling process where you're just driving along and not even really realizing what's going on around you. Take a different road. No, just kidding. You could take a different road, right? To keep you aware of your surroundings.
I think that familiar roads can become distracting because you get too relaxed and you think, oh, I know this curve. I got no problem in this curve whatsoever. When I think anybody recognizes that road conditions can change in a heartbeat, especially in the state that we're in Colorado, you can go from one extreme to another. You could go into a curve that you've taken at 40 miles an hour your entire life, and this time you went into it at 40 and you were probably going in 10 miles an hour too fast, and that could become a disastrous event. So getting complacent and getting relaxed too much can be just as dangerous.
I think a lot of people don't understand that when you're driving on roads you're more comfortable with, you're actually way more susceptible to making mistakes. I think people feel like when they get near home, that they're home. They're on the roads they've driven on 1,000 times, and so because they've been on that road 1,000 times, they think they know what's going to happen. Don't get me wrong, being familiar with roads can be a positive. But what it does is it sheds false confidence in a situation where you think, I know this road so well, so I'm more prepared than someone that doesn't know this road. When in reality, you're no more prepared for that kid that jumps out in front of your car, or that cyclist, or the dog, or anything. You're no more prepared for the unexpected events that happen than someone that's never been on that road before. I don't care if it's the 100th or 1,000th time you've done this drive to school, to a friend's house, to a store. That's the only drive you've ever done that day with those particular hazards.